Hi everyone, I'm Lisa and welcome to Lisa's Stamp Studio. We are celebrating the carryover of the Paisleys Posies stamp set and framelits into the Occasions catalog. That catalog will debut on January 4th. My card today encompasses the copper foil paper and copper rhinestones. Yes, we're going to make those copper with some Sharpie markers. I'm going to give you some tips along the way. Here's the card that we're going to be creating. Really simple, but really elegant. Let's head over to the stamp table and let's get started. Here's a good close-up of the card. Isn't this pretty? That copper foil is really stunning and it goes great with a great array of colors. Let's go ahead and get this card put together. We're going to start with a piece of very vanilla cardstock. This measures 5.5 by 8.5 and I'm going to fold that in half. I'm going to use my bone folder. I'm a big fan of that to give me a nice crisp crease on my card. I've also cut a piece of Designer Series paper. This is from the Petals and Paisleys Designer Series paper pack. I'm really enjoying this, and of course with all Stampin' Up! Papers they are double-sided. Here they are here in the catalog. You can see there's just an amazing array of colors and patterns to choose from. But I'm going to tell you, hurry up, because on January 4th, these will be retired and they will no longer be available. So go ahead and get your online order in. While you're there, you know, I offer great exclusive rewards for your orders as well. You can find all that information on my blog under the rewards section. I'm flipping this over. I'm going to put snail adhesive on the back side. And I'm going to attach that right here at the very bottom of the card. I'm making sure that my bottom edge is flush and as flush as it can be on both sides. So there we've got the base. I've then cut a piece of copper foil. This is 1/2 by 5.5 inches. So I'm going to add some adhesive to the back. And I'm going to add that here to my card. I often like to turn my card vertically so I can make sure that I'm getting it on there nice and even. I don't know about you, but sometimes when I'm working with things horizontally, I have trouble getting them straight. So there we go, we've got that. The next step, I want to add my greeting. And I'm actually going to use greeting today outside of the Paisleys and Posies stamp set. This one has great verbiage in it, but I really like this stamp set. This is called Better Together. I think it's well overlooked in the catalog. There's great phrases here, not only for the inside, but for the outside of your cards. And there's some simple images that can be used to create your cards or actually to embellish the envelope. Also great for scrapbookers. If you subscribe to my Studio Stamps in the Mail, you will have gotten this as part of all your cards for December. This turned out to be a really popular bundle. If you're not familiar with Studio Stamps in the Mail, you can head over to my blog and click on the tab there. We're going to use the Mint Macaroon ink pad, and I'm taking the words out of that Better Together stamp sets just a note. So I'm going to tap up. This might be a good card for those people that you may have missed sending out a Christmas greeting to. And I'm going to stamp that here off to the side. We'll set that aside, and now we're going to take out a piece of scrap very vanilla cardstock. This is all coordinating, and I'm using several different images from this same stamp set. You're going to see this one's good and stained. It's been loved a lot. It does not impair the usage of the stamp, so don't let the staining of the photopolymer concern you. I'm also going to bring in some ink pads. Of course, I'm going to bring back that mint that we just used, and I'm going to use Cajun Craze and the Delightful Dijon. These colors mimic the Designer Series paper, and that's just the beauty of Stampin' Up! Products, how everything color coordinates. So here on the paper, I'm going to do some stamping. I'm going to start with the outline, which is the polka dotted paisley, and I'm going to use the Cajun ink. So I'm going to ink that up just by tapping it. I only need ink on those dots, so I'm not going to go too crazy. I'm going to press firmly there, so now we have our outline. Next, I'm going to use that detailed posy image. It's got some flowers in there, really kind of pretty. I'm going to tap that on the Dijon, and I'm going to stamp that here. And then last I have this posy. This one actually is a little bit different. It's simple that it's got some really nice spiked edges on it. It's going to add some interest to the center of this card. I'm going to use that and the Mint Macaroon, and I'm going to stamp that here as well. The reason I've allowed some space is because we're actually going to use all the different framelits at one time. Now these framelits are all part of that same Paisleys framelit set. Lots of fun things here, so there's no fussy cutting. It's also only available as a bundle through January 3rd. So you want to make sure that if you like this, you're going to order it as a bundle to save the additional 10%. After that, they're going to be sold separately. I've brought in my Big Shot. This is the magnetic platform. This is going to allow those framelits to stick perfectly in place, and a clear cutting mat for the bottom to protect it. Here is the cardstock that we stamped the images on. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to line up my framelits. That magnetic platform is going to really help to keep things lined up as I go ahead and crank this through. So there's one. And then here is the other. That's the great thing about having the framelits with the stamp sets. Not only is there no fussy cutting, you can maximize all your die cutting at one time. So we've got different images here. So this one I'm just going to rotate a little bit to get it lined up as good as possible. And then another clear mat over the top to protect those framelits as they go through. So I'm going to go ahead and give this just a crank. That's the great thing about the Big Shot. There's no power required. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to push these out. You're going to see I'm pushing them to the back. The framelit actually cuts on the ridge side. So the flat side is the top, and then here's the last one. I'm going to push that one out as well. So now we're ready to assemble the card. So here's the base of the card that we started with. I'm going to take the largest posy that we stamped, and I'm going to add adhesive to the back. I'm going to leave this one flat. I'm going to build up my dimension on this card as we go up. So I'm going to lay this here. I'm going to lay this here. And now the smaller pieces, I'm going to add dimensionals to both of these. So I've got my dimensionals here, and you're going to see this is going to fit very nicely here and here. But what about down here? I want to make sure that this doesn't sag. So I keep some of these cut in half in my stamp studio. All I do is I take my scissors and I cut up the center of the dimensional, and that gives me a half of a size. These are great to keep handy because look, a large dimensional would not fit there very well. It probably would hang out. So I'm going to press my nail in the center. That's going to help release the paper backing. I always have a hard time getting those off because I have short nails. This is going to get centered inside of this paisley here. And then I'm going to take off the paper backing on this one here. You can see this is really easy to put together. So I'm going to mount this one here near the bottom. Now this is where that copper rhinestone is going to come into play. So I've got my rhinestones here, and this is a brown Sharpie marker. Now you wouldn't think that brown would work, but rhinestones are opaque, as you can see. That little glimmer shows through. If you use a dark marker, oftentimes you're going to find that it doesn't come out nearly as dark as it looks as it would be on paper. So I'm going to choose a rhinestone here in the center, and I'm going to actually just color it in with the Sharpie marker. Can you already see it turning copper? Isn't this pretty? You can let it dry. It takes just a few seconds. You can go back over it with a second coat if you'd like. By leaving it on the paper, it allows you an opportunity not to have to chase it all over your work surface. There are glue dots already on the back, so I'm going to use my paper piercing tool, put my fingernail there so I don't have to chase it again as it pops off. And I'm going to get up underneath there so it'll attach itself there. And then I'm going to come here and I'm going to add that right to the center of my card. Isn't that pretty? Easy card, easy, but yet very impressive. So here is my first one before we started, and here's the one that we've created today. I'm really glad that you joined me, and I hope you'll subscribe to my YouTube channel so you don't miss anything that's coming up, and head over to my blog. I've got lots more inspiration there, as well as online classes, so make sure you check out the tab there. Thanks so much for joining me, everyone. Have a great day.